this, not knowing that this old world was given to these people after some cataclysm, you know? That would be pretty cray-cray. Yeah, always something going on in the world where, you know, I can't turn on the TV without, you know, the news telling me something bad about somebody. Doesn't matter who, just somebody, anybody. Oh, this person did something bad. Let's cancel them. No, this person did something bad. Let's cancel them. And it's like, I don't know, man. I grew up in a day and age where you could still call people funny names, and, you know, nobody cared when I was growing up about bullying. It was considered character development when I was growing up. It wasn't a big deal. You know, the teachers would even be like, just wait till after school when Johnny gets you, and it's just like, for real? And that's how it was back then. You know, and I'm not talking back in the 1850s, I'm talking the 1990s, you know. It wasn't that long ago. That's how it was, you know, and the world seemed to be fine. So I don't know what happened. Something happened. But whatever it is, I don't know if it's for the better. It seems like everybody's overly sensitive these days and thinks that the world owes them something. Believe me, the world doesn't owe you anything. Doesn't owe me anything either. And that's just the way it is. Sorry to say that. Looks like the robots are getting pretty advanced these days, except for the one little fact that some of these commercials you see where the robot's doing all this advanced stuff and he's chopping up your dishes and he's walking around your house is actually being operated remote controlly by some person. Because the technology isn't good enough yet to have the fully autonomous AI robots. They basically are having people remote controlling these things. So this robot could be in your house. You could be like, hey, robot, hold this camera while me and my wife do whatever, thinking you're in your privacy of your own home with your robot cameraman. And no, actually it's not. It's being controlled by some guy in Pakistan or something. Holy smokes. I don't know, man. It seems a little off to me. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. I want my AI robots to be fully, you know, autonomous. You know, wouldn't you? If you were sold this robot and told this thing is autonomous and it can do all this stuff and blah, 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 wouldn't you want it to actually be that? I would. Like I said, maybe I'm old-fashioned, though. So I'm thinking about turning these talk and art sessions into a live on YouTube. I figure, what is there to lose? You know, I have a PayPal link in my description, and I have a buy me a coffee link in my description. So I figured, do I really gotta wait till I go monetized to go live? I gotta see what the whole deal is on YouTube. Maybe there's some requirements or something. I'm not totally sure yet. I know you gotta have 1,000 subscribers to be monetized, but I know pretty sure that you can go live without being monetized. So if that's the case, I'm gonna start doing that soon. And like I said, I got the coffee and the PayPal accounts for anybody that felt like being gracious or anything. Obviously, it's not required. It is most welcome, but not required, and yeah, never will be. My ultimate goal is to, at some point whenever I do go live, is you know, if people donate, is to take all the people that donate and put them on a wheel of probability, you know, and whoever wins the wheel of probability would get the illustration that we were doing that day on the live. But that's for down the road. Just thinking ahead. I want these buildings to kind of blend together, like this one's the closest, then that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, you know. That's what I'm trying to shoot for here. So So we just got to make them smaller and smaller, kind of in the background. And there's a way to make that cool looking so you know they're in the background. But yeah, so if that's a possibility, then I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do that and go live and see where we can go from there. Alright, so we got the basics down here. We got city in the background. We got the big, huge retaining wall. We got the old city in the foreground. We got like a tunnel going into the city, some kind of highway tunnel or something going into said city. Tighten this up a little bit. Yep, and I don't know what city this city has. It's not like supposed to be anywhere, so it just you know, it just looks like it looks. All right, start thickening up some lines here. I'm gonna have to switch this around for a second. Yeah, that would be cool to go live. You know, it'd be cool to have a little bit of a community to be bouncing off of. You know, that's why I kind of try to choose a topic sort of for these art and talk sessions, or several topics, so I kind of stay on somewhat of the ball, you know. But not always necessary. Sometimes you can just ramble about whatever. But it's nice to have a little bit of a topic. It's funny. Yeah, it'd be nice to just have a topic, that's all, I guess. I was watching a live the other day of these guys. It's total background people. The Kino Casino. Holy Christ. Those guys can be pretty funny sometimes. Not all the time, but most of the time. They're pretty interesting characters. And some of the people they kind of roast, you know, are people I've known on the internet for years. You know, I've known them, but, you know, some of these people, I'm like, wow, I can't believe they're, like, still alive. You know, people like Phil, you know, DSP. I made a time lapse about him in one of my very first illustrations on this channel. Go back and check it out in the shorts. DSP time-lapse illustration. It's in my juice box here. Yep, the DSP time-lapse illustration. It's a little bit thinner marker over here. Yeah, who knows with the Tartaria thing. Like I said, I think a lot of people have no faith in what humanity is capable of, and the hubris, added with the hubris of thinking if it can't be done today, then it couldn't have been done yesterday. That's another part of it that drives me kind of crazy. There's lots of things that we can't do today that we could do not long ago. So I think people just don't have the faith. And when you look at you know, a lot of people today, they're not as, you know, people were professionals back in the day. People today are kind of transient in a way. You learn a skill, and then you learn another skill, and then you learn another skill. We're constantly hopping around. There's not a whole lot of people, although there are some that aren't just straight up, oh, I'm a chiseler, that's all I do, you know. Or I'm a granite mason, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. It's just a lot of people back in them days were, that's what they did. You know, I'm a professional bricklayer. That's what I do. That's all I do. That's all I'm going to do. That's all I've ever done. And so they got good at it. Not to mention people in general were just tougher back then. Because that's another big part of it. People look at these colossal buildings and stuff and go, holy cow, I mean, all that stuff is so heavy, and how did they do that, and blah blah blah. Couldn't do that today, and it's like people today are soft. They really are. In comparison with people of yesteryear, just your average people even. You know, your average person today isn't as tough as your average person from 100 years ago, and it goes like that all the way down the board. The average person from 1920 wasn't as tough as the average person from 1820, 1720, 1620, all the way back down, you know? And that makes sense to me because life back in them days was just tougher. It was harder to do. Basic stuff back then. You know, not anything, you know, mesmerizing. Just your basic stuff was hard to do. Life was hard to do. So I can understand how, you know, people can think, well, how'd they do that? No way, we couldn't do that today. Well, go pick a fight with an old man. When he punches you in the face, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Pretty cold outside today where I'm at in the world. It's like 6 degrees outside, so my heater's kicking on every 5 minutes, you know. It's unreal. Went out to get my kid bibs the other day, and of course there's like nothing that fits anymore. It's either too big, or it's too small, or it's too short, or too tall. Can't find those bibs in the Goldilocks zone. If you have a kid, you know what I'm talking about. You know, he's 13, so it's crazy. I've had the same winter bibs and jacket and stuff for 10 years, you know. The kid gets a new jacket, new bibs, new boots, new backpack, new everything every year. It's just like, holy Christ, man, it's just unbelievable how much stuff a kid can have, you know. Well, we're plugging away at these futuristic buildings in the background. I want to get those kind of filled in. I was looking, you know, also, I was looking at Kick, the live streaming platform. Again, because I saw Kino Casino and they're on Kick, so I went and got a Kick page going just so I can go over there and BS with those guys once in a while, but I haven't really advanced it more than that, besides just getting the initial page and it's there. I'll figure I'll wait to see how live streaming goes on YouTube first, and then I'll take it from there, really. Ideally, at least for the time being, I would like to do 2 of these. I was just doing one of these sessions like I'm doing now, the art and talk session, once a week, usually today on Monday, but I figured, why not do one on Friday as well? And yeah, and just try and get as much content out there as I can. And that's the only thing that's going to make it go anywhere, is doing it. But I figured, hey, what's the, you know, it wouldn't hurt to go to some other platform too and do the same thing. So we'll see what the requirements are on Kick. A lot of that stuff's very new to me when it comes to all that. I tried setting up, I don't know if I've told you guys before, the computer I use. I had bought a brand new HP laptop, 500 mega or gigabyte memory, 8 gigabyte RAM, like 5 years ago. And after about a year, it just shit out on me. It was so full of bloatware. It took a minute to start up, a minute to turn off. Oh, you want to use that app? You need to buy this. Oh, you want to print this? You need to do that. It was just so, it was worthless. It was fucking worthless. Sorry. Pardon my French. But it was worthless. And it finally crapped out on me, so I took it to my computer guy. He told me the issue. He ended up taking the external, or I'm sorry, the hard drive out, the 500 gigabyte traditional hard drive out, and putting in a 250 gigabyte solid state hard drive. I didn't know what the difference would be, and a 4 gigabyte solid state RAM. He took out the Windows 10 or whatever it had and put in Ubuntu. It's a Linux based free operating thing, and I've been impressed so far, very impressed. It's only taken, it takes 10 seconds to turn on. It takes, 10 seconds to turn off. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. You can do all the stuff that I want on the internet very easily. It updates all the time and it's pretty much a new computer, but the one thing I've found is that when it comes to trying to find editing software or like that OBS studio you need to go Kick to be on Kick, it doesn't like that, and it's not downloading it. And the only thing I can think is because even though it says that it supports Linux-based stuff, something tells me it's not as supported as, your regular stuff. So going live on Kick might be a bit of an issue at the moment. I'm pretty sure I can go on live with just, my computer at home. And even if I had to, I could just use my phone. I could just put my phone on the same bracket it's on and just have it be my live thing until, I don't know, until I make some money off of this and I'm able to buy like a purpose-built, laptop and a dedicated camera just for streaming on Kick or something. But that's far in the future. We'll figure that out later. All right, so this is coming together. We got our old city in the foreground. We got our new city in the background and our retaining wall from the outside world in between. Just rambling about Tartaria and whatnot. Rambling about all the riots and craziness going on in the world and how people can't get along. I don't know. Makes you wonder what kind of world the kid's going into. If it's going to be a world that's worth it, or is it just going to be a world that chews them up and spits them out? Who knows? I hope it's a decent world at least. Because there's a lot of changes out there, and change isn't necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't mean it's necessarily a good thing either.